pull the main dish together. I have my puff pastry in the oven, puff pastrying. I have my clean shrimp. I'm going to cut up some onions, some garlic, melt some butter, add the shrimp there, get it all cooked up, and then I'm going to make a wonderful bechamel sauce to fit inside of that puff pastry with the shrimp on top. So just see how easy this is. It's not very hard. It's actually really easy for you to do right out of your home. Remembering we're here today and Brown's is our sponsor, and you're more than welcome to come down and see all the different kinds of products that Brown offers through Russell Hendricks, as we're both teamed up together to work for one common goal, and that is to bring you professional equipment to your home kitchen or your professional kitchen. And the nice thing is Brown actually has a nice garlic press. So we're going to put in some fresh, wonderful cloves of garlic. Now you might think it's a lot of butter, but I'm making a nice roux to make this bechamel sauce. So as you can see, it seems like a lot of butter, but after I fry the shrimp and bring it to a nice al dente state, and then I'm going to add flour and really emulsify all these flavors for a nice bechamel sauce for the puff paste. Just come over and take a look and see what's happening in our Rational iCombi Pro. The individual puff pastry is great. And remember, not trying to be a perfectionist, because do you ever see a perfect wave in nature or a perfect cloud? They're all perfect. Same sort of concept when you're baking anything with puff pastry or any form of baking. You can always alter it as you're working with it in order to have a great presentation. And as you can see, some of them didn't all work out the way that I would like it to, but that's okay. We can alter it as time progresses on. Our butter is nicely coming in. We don't want to brown or burn our butter, so we always want to constantly emulsify the flavors of that garlic in the butter before we add in our shrimp. And as you can see, the butter is just coming to a nice little bubble. This is exactly what we want. We don't want it to be smoking, we don't want it to be burning, but just a nice little bubble. From there, then we can add our individual shrimp. I like to add the shrimp in one at a time. We're utilizing a Brown tongs and a Brown bowl, and we're utilizing a Vorath inductional burner and a signature ware pan. So we have many different products down here at the Victoria showroom. I encourage you to come on down, see what we can do for you and how we can educate you on different appliances, different fridges, stoves, everything that you possibly need. So we're going to let that cook for a few minutes. So I've finally chopped up one onion. I also have just some artificial crab, which is called pollock. It's really nice to use natural crab, but unfortunately we didn't have time to get natural crab, so we're just going to use the substitute of some pollock or artificial crab meat. When you're cooking any form of shrimp is usually about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, and it should be done. Most people, when they're cooking shrimp, they tend to overcook it, and then the shrimp becomes very rubbery. So you don't want to overcook and you don't want to undercook. But as you can see, it has a nice reddish tinge to it. This is where I like to season a little bit, not over season. But what we have is we can put in a little bit of rock salt is what I really like to put in. And then I have all that beautiful zest. And I'm just going to mix it up nicely. If you could have the smell TV right now. This smells so wonderfully and delicious. Well, they look like they can just come out and rest for a few minutes. Gonna let those rest. Now I'm gonna take up those nicely fine chopped onions that I have, and I'm gonna place them right into the bechamel sauce. And I'm gonna let those cook up just a little bit. There, give it some really nice good taste and some flavor. I have just a little bit of rosemary. I like fresh rosemary. I'm just going to stir that all in. It looks like you just need a little bit more fat. So now that we got the fat in there, I just want to put in just a little bit of this wonderful pollock just to give it a little bit more of a seafoody taste to it. So lightly fine chopped, placing that right into the individual mixture. Now this is the key important thing. You want to make a roux. So you want to add a little bit of flour. Key thing is that you want to cook this flour just a little bit. Again, you don't want to brown it, because as soon as you start browning the flour, it's going to make your bechamel sauce or your white sauce or the mother sauce a darker color, and we want it as white as we possibly can. Then what we're going to take is 3% milk, which is homogenized milk, and this is where we're actually going to make our nice sauce for this dish. So we go ahead, place the milk in, and stirring ever so slowly and incorporating the flour, the pollock, the nice fresh herbs all together. And as you can see, it starts working back into a paste. We then add a little bit more of that wonderful milk, making a nice, wonderful tasting bechamel sauce. And oh, if you were here to smell how good this is, it's going to be tasting really good, but it also smells wonderful. The bechamel sauce is getting thicker as that flour is nicely cooking into those flavors of the shrimp, the pollock, and the fresh herbs, and the onion, and most definitely the garlic and butter. Adding a little bit more.
What consistency should a roux be?
Again, the mother roux or the mother sauce of making it depends on your dish and what you're actually going to make. Now, if you're making a meat pie and making the mother sauce of a bechamel sauce, you would want it fairly thick, because when you're cutting your meat pie or your seafood pie or chicken pot pie, you wanted the consistency to be very thick to hold all the ingredients. Now, if you're making a bechamel sauce for a wonderful pasta, you would actually want it a little bit more thinner or liquidy, so that it would be able to be absorbed into the pasta. So what I would like is a half sort of thickness of this bechamel sauce, because what we're going to do is put it in a piping bag and pipe it into the pastry shells, and then finish it up with a nice lemon shrimp. So we're almost to the right consistency. It's not too thick, but it's not too thin. We're just going to let that cook up just a little bit. Going to have a bit of a taste. As you can see, when I scoop it up, it's not running off, it's just sort of drooping, and this is what we exactly want, because the last thing you want to do is have a bite of this individual hors d'oeuvre and it go all over your clothes. It's almost a 2 to 3 biter hors d'oeuvre, and you want to make sure that it doesn't slop all over. And as you can see, the consistency is coming up really well now. And I'm just going to turn this off, and we're going to let that rest just for a minute, because actually putting this mother sauce in the piping bag will be too hot to handle. So we're going to just let that cool down, pull it all together while we're just the right consistency. Again, not too thick, not too thin. And we're just going to put that right into the piping bag. Truly thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of The Happy Chef at Russell Hendricks. It was sure a pleasure to put this together. I'm so thankful Rishi from Brown's Food Services was here to sponsor this wonderful video. I highly encourage you to stop down anytime through the month of June and July, remembering that every Friday from 1 o'clock till 2:30 will be Seafood Fridays. So I encourage you to come down and have a taste of this and to see what Russell Hendricks and Brown Food Services can do for you today.